If you're a fan of romance animes, like me, then you are probably well aware of the biggest flaw with romance animes, that being that most of the time, the characters don't actually become couples. Some examples of this are Aoharu Ride, We Never Learn, Baka to Test, Fortune Arterial, and Rosario to Vampire. This is a major problem within romance animes, since they claim to be romance, but then fail to deliver on making couples. This always makes my blood boil in that it makes the whole anime seem like one huge promotion for its light novel. That's where we get into today's video. Today I'm going to be explaining why I believe Nogizaka Haruka no Himitsu finale is the best way to end a romance anime. In order to properly explain my opinions on this ending, I am going to talk about all 4 episodes of this season and talk about why each episode is important. Of course, this means that there is going to be spoilers inside of this video, so if you haven't watched it yet, just go and watch it. With that out of the way, we're going to begin with episode 1 of this season. Straight at the beginning of the episode, we see Haruka, sleeping in preparation for a big trip. From her desk alone, we can tell that she's excited to spend the trip with her love interest, Ayase Yuto. This is eminently juxtaposed by her romance rival, Shina, thinking about her love for Yuto. After, a new band sings the new opening for this season, The Ends. I like this because The Ends is literally just all of the voice actors for the anime singing about basically the plot of the first 2 episodes, and then ends with a spoiler for the last episode. After that, we see Haruka talking about Monster Hunter while Shina is watching, getting jealous from a distance. A couple of scenes later, the main cast had a meeting at Yuto's house, where Haruka and Shina basically admitted to having feelings for Yuto. Once they are all gone, we see Shina on the streets making a selfish act saying that she doesn't care about anyone's feelings, just her own. This sparks her journey to win Yuto's heart. After that, their trip begins. Once they get their free time, Haruka and Yuto hang out together alone and make the promise to go on another date like this in the future. This will be important later on. In the next scene, we see Shina awaiting Yuto to return to the hotel so she can confess her feelings to him. After waiting for a while, she goes to take a bath and whispers something to Haruka while leaving. Shina asks Yuto to meet her by the fountain. While this is going down, we see Haruka find Shina's phone in the changing room, so Haruka decides to deliver it to her. Haruka finally found Shina at the fountain to return her phone, but sees Shina confess her love to Yuto before she could return the phone. This episode ends with Haruka in tears over this event. After this, we are met by an amazing ending clip as it shows every episode building up to this one. In summary for this episode, we get to see both girls demonstrate their feelings to Yuto, Shina showing selfish acts, Haruka showing selfless acts, and the romantic rival confessing her feelings to the protagonist. Something rarely seen in romance animes. Episode 2 is the continuation of episode 1. This episode begins with a confused Yuto thinking about Shina's love confession to him in the previous episode. This is juxtaposed by Haruka standing on the roof of the hotel, alone, symbolizing how she feels about losing Yuto to Shina. In the next scene, the class arrives at a zoo, where we already start to see Yuto and Haruka start distancing themselves. Haruka's maids and sister try to interrogate Yuto to find the source of their distancing, but all he says is that he needs to think about his next move. Soon after, Haruka tells them what's going on, then acts like it's tsundere, saying that she doesn't know if she likes Yuto. After, Haruka decides to try and confront Yuto, but has no luck. She soon got a morale boost from one of her favorite anime characters, Haruna. After that morale boost, she was ready to go on their next trip to Otaru, Shina's hometown. Right before she can ask Yuto to go with her, Shina offers to give him a tour. As Yuto runs off with Shina for the tour, we see Haruka standing there, crying. She believes she's lost him to Shina. She stands there, crying, believing that Yuto broke their promise of going on another date. See, I told you that would be important. This was the scene where she realized she was in love with Yuto. Soon after, Yuto finally decides to turn Shina down, then searches for Haruka. After finding her, he tells her that he loves her. After that long-awaited confession, they decide to date, but in secret. After returning from the trip, the maids find out about them dating. Then Haruka and Yuto decide to form a Doujin circle, a MacGuffin that's important for the next episode. This episode has a happy ending for Haruka and Yuto, but we see something suspicious going on with Akiho. In summary, this episode has Haruka realizing that she loves Haruka, the fall of the romance rival, and Haruka and Yuto finally became a couple. This episode also introduced two important events for the next two episodes, the Doujin Circle, and Akiho's phone call. Episode 3 is about the Doujin Circle mentioned inside of episode 2 of the season. This episode begins with Haruka and Yuto debating what they should do for their circle and soon decide to make an adventure game about clumsy girl Aki-chan. In the next scene we see Yuto talking with his friend, Nobunaga, about how to make a game. Yuto's friend gives him a program to work off of. In the next scene, we are at Haruka's house, where Yuto asks her if she has a scenario. Her immediate response was to pull out a novel she wrote a long time ago showing us how passionate she is for Aki-chan. After they got an invite to an event to sell the game, Yuto and Haruka head out for school. On their way to school, Haruka ran into some people from her old school. The one where she was outcast for being an otaku. At this point we really get to see how this tragic event still haunts her to this day. She also talks about one of the reasons why she loves Yuto so much is because he never abandoned her for being an otaku and make her more proud to be one. The next scene is about them celebrating the completion of the game and almost kiss each other. The next day, the event starts. While Haruka and Yuto are selling, a fan of a fan manga they wrote approached and bought a copy of their game. This means that they are starting to get a fan base for their doujin items. While they are selling more copies of the game, we get to see the maids dressed up as Index and Asuna, which further shows us how real animes do exist within this world. In the next scene, some people appear before Yuto asking to speak to Haruka. He quickly agreed with little thought to it. Once Haruka saw them, she began shaking in fear and ran away. Those were her friends which abandoned her after she was revealed as being an otaku. Eventually Yuto catches up to her and she tells the story to Yuto. Eventually, she decides to confront them in order to move on with her life. To her surprise, they are also now otakus and said that no matter what her hobbies are, Haruka is still Haruka. It was revealed that Tennoji ordered the entire school to alienate Haruka in order to ruin Haruka's life. Everyone was afraid of Tennoji, so they followed her orders. After this event, Haruka learns that she no longer should be ashamed for being an otaku, but be proud of it. This episode ends with the return of the mysterious phone call and Haruka being forced into a marriage with someone nobody knows. Shocking. Within this episode, we see Haruka's arc about her old school compete with Haruka being able to be proud of being an otaku and getting to reacquaint with her childhood friends. This episode also begins the plot for the final episode, stopping this marriage. To continue on, I'm passing the mic to Reiko.
Thank you, Feb. Let's continue on. After the opening plays, Yuto makes the decision to save Haruka originally on his own. After certain events, each member of the main cast makes the decision to save Haruka from this new threat. Together with Yuto's friends and the entire maid team, they set out to save Haruka from her marriage. While the rescue team sets out to save Haruka, we see another member of the Tennoji family, Tuka. We see her prepping for something, but what? In the next scene, we see the infiltration of Haruka's birthday castle. This was an interesting location to use since it originally only appeared for 2 episodes in Season 1. Here, we see the rescue team face the Hellhounds, which is a Nogizaka assault team. The team slowly shrinks in battle as they approach the final boss. Up until the final boss, we saw all the characters make valiant sacrifices to help you to reach Haruka, but at this point, he has reached an unbreakable wall, Gento Nogizaka. While this all went down, we see Haruka do something rather strange. Instead of acting like a princess and wait for her prince to save her, she decides to fight back. She solos a bunch of Hellhound commandos like the absolute Chad she is, then is faced with her own unbreakable wall, her mother. What occurs after is a top 10 anime battle, where Yuto and Haruka defeat the heads of the Nogizaka family in order to reach each other. Once they reunite, it was revealed that this was a test passed down for generations in the Nogizaka family. However, Tennoji didn't believe this to be a test. She was outraged by what occurred. She attempted to attack them with her assault team, Cerberus, but nobody appeared. This was because they were all taken out by Tuka's squad. Tuka takes control of the Tanaja family, and we get a beautiful dove transition to the next scene. This is a very rare scene. We get to see Haruka and Yuto get married while finally getting the kiss scene they've been teasing since season 1. In summary, this episode was about the rescue of Haruka and completing the Tanaja family fiasco introduced all the way back in season 2. In this episode, almost every character had their own moment to shine, with the exception of Miran, and we get to see Yuto and Haruka marry, something even rarer inside the romance animes. Now that we went through all the episodes and what's important about them, it's time to get on with the review. I believe that the story and plot of these 4 episodes are actually amazing. They managed to fit so much information into such little video time. Not only did they fit the part where Haruka and Yuto become a couple, but also included their marriage. They also show the turning down of the romance rival and complete some old plots which originally had no answers. One of the biggest things to occur inside of this season is Haruka finally accepting that it's okay for her to be an otaku. I believe that this is the perfect way to end the entire series. As for animation, this season does feel like a more modern version of the series since the past 2 seasons use the more old anime style compared to this one. This to me is an improvement when compared to some other series. This is a good thing. Some animes, such as Pokemon, can get worse animation throughout seasons. Finally, for the music, I just love the songs and all of them are copyright free, so I could use them in my videos if I wish. In the end, I believe that this anime is a perfect 10/10. If you like what I do here, please consider subscribing as it supports me a lot. Until next time, bye.
秘密秘密あのね秘密をあげる